My name is Dean Swan, the Chief of Voluntary Service here at Carl Vinson VA Medical Center, and I will be your MC for today's dedication ceremony. On behalf of our director, Ms. Mary Alice Morrow, we would like to welcome you to Carl Vinson VA Medical Center. Today we have a couple of programs to remember our men and women all across the nation who sacrificed so much for our country. Our first ceremony will remember and honor the late Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr., a citizen of Dublin, Lawrence County, a Vietnam veteran, and a major in the United States Army. Please rise for our pledge of allegiance by Ms. Harriet Claxton and remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Constance Arthur.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads. Today we are here to honor those who have served our country and given their lives so that we may stand here and still live in freedom. We need to be constantly reminded of our gift of freedom and of those who gave all to make sure future generations continue to know life in a free, democratic society. Remembering those who have passed is only half of the task that is before us today. We must also carry their love, honor, and duty forward to the future generations that will pass. Our children must know who they were, what they did, and why they did it. To do anything less will be a disservice to their sacrifice and their memories. Those that are gone created a clear pathway for us to continue on. We must never waver from that path of freedom and democracy. Take their memories, take their dreams, and walk forward, shouldering the cause of freedom. Carry it high and proud. They did, and now you must walk forward for them and for our children. Amen.
Hello, I am Jessica Hutchison with Pruitt Health Hospice, and today we are at the VA hospital in Dublin, Georgia, where they serve 52 counties. We enjoy the freedoms every day that you have provided. You are our parents and grandparents, our children. You are our friends, neighbors, and our coworkers. You are such an important part of our community. Every day here at Pruitt Health Hospice, it's our honor and privilege to care for our nation's heroes. We strive to provide the same level of integrity and commitment that all of our veterans demonstrated while in service to our country. From all of us here at Pruitt Health Hospice, we thank you for your service.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason we're here today is to honor and remember Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr. And today I would ask you to, I've already welcomed everyone to the facility, but I would ask you to help me give a warm welcome to Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr. family, who is seated to my left here. We want to thank everyone that made this day possible. That's Ms. Susan Darling Johnson and the Johnson family, to the Georgia Department of Transportation, the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, and the champion for this event, who he talked to me so often about Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr. and what he meant to him. And I've been here about 3 years, and Mr. Buddy always shared that story with me. He seldom shared that story with me. So, Mr. Buddy Adams, thank you for your commitment to making sure we remember Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr. I would like to introduce the panel on the stage here. That's part of our program. To my left, behind me, our Associate Director, Mr. J.D. Worth. Mr. Buddy Adams. Okay. Mr. Johnny Payne, I'm sorry, got out of our sequence there. Mr. Johnny Payne, then Mr. Buddy Adams. Mr. James Johnson, he say call him J.D. He is the son of Dr. O.B. Johnson, Jr. And his nephew, Mr. Cal Acott. To my right, Ms. Harriet Claxton, Chaplain Constance Arthur, Miss Mary Crossan, and Gus Albritton. Thank you for being a part of this program. We will now have comments from Mr. James Johnson, followed by Mr. Cal Acott.
I guess to start, this is not my father's suit, but it seemed appropriate. I wanted to thank specifically Buddy Adams, who was very instrumental in making this happen, State Representative Matt Hatchett, whose father I loved, Jeff Davis, who's not here, loved his father, and Buddy, you'll be happy to know that Brondy Rogers gave me a 20 or 30-minute lesson on how wonderful your father was. So thank y'all. My family and I know it took a lot to get this done. We know there are a lot of people involved. We're grateful to each of you. Grateful to his business partners, my dad's business partners, who have also done some wonderful memorial things for us. Dahlia Wren, all of y'all. When my dad returned from Vietnam, he faced a lot of rejection, personal and professional. There were allies and friends of his who did not seem that way when he returned because there were such strong opinions. And he moved to Dublin, Georgia, and everybody here treated him like he was special. They treated him like he was important. And that wasn't how he felt about himself, but he loved being treated that way. This community embraced him, and they treated him that way until the day he died. This is where he wanted to live. It's where he wanted to die. He didn't want to go somewhere else. And you're doing it again right now. And we are very grateful. All of y'all, you would say he was determined, or you would say he had backbone. We just thought he was hard-headed. He couldn't sing that well, and you let him sing in the choir anyway. And he loved it. He lived for it. He loved those friends. There's a lot I would love to tell you about my dad. But instead of telling you about him, I'm going to tell you what he would say if he were here. And that is that he would say thank you. He felt like so many times when we needed you, you were there for us. And the same people that are in this room right now were the same people that have been there for us every time our family has ever needed you. And we're grateful. That's what he would tell you. That's what he felt like he could not say enough. He loved this community. And thank y'all, our family and our friends who are here. You're all the people that I already knew would be here. I didn't have to ask, because you're the people that always have been. Thank y'all.
If you're suffering from a non-healing wound, we have good news. The Downtown Dublin Wound Center offers advanced treatments, experience, and state-of-the-art technology, including hyperbaric oxygen treatments for healing most any wound, even those that won't respond to conventional treatment. Call us today at 410-3500. Let Dr. Davis and his staff get you on the road to recovery. Downtown Dublin Wound Center, 124D West Madison Street, downtown Dublin.
One of the most vivid memories of my early childhood was driving to Bush Field in Augusta to see my Uncle O.B. off to war when I was just 4 years old. I recall how sharp he looked in his Army dress green uniform and how it inspired me to wear that uniform someday. I recalled my mother and Aunt Susan crying and hugging each other and seeing the saddest expression I ever saw on my granddad, who was one of the most jovial people God ever created. as he watched that plane carrying his son climb into the sky. At my young age, I couldn't understand what all the sadness was about. You see, for me, as a youngster, the war in Vietnam seemed like a never-ending football game, complete with a score every night on the evening news. We killed 30 of them, they only killed 3 of us. You'd hear things like that, and it sure seemed like we were winning, when in fact politicians were shackling a military that could have won that war in a few weeks. Hindsight's always 20/20, but it can certainly be said that the lessons we learned in that war saved many lives later. OB was assigned to the famous 1st Air Cav Division, one of the first units into that country that fought the first major engagement with the North Vietnamese in the Ia Drang Valley in 1965. This battle was immortalized in the Mel Gibson movie We Were Soldiers, based on the book written by the U.S. Force Commander Hal Moore. The Air Mobile 1st suffered more casualties than any other Army division that served in Vietnam. Many of those casualties that returned alive were brought back by the efforts of my uncle and his team. The details of his actions are spelled out in his numerous commendations and are the reason we're gathered here today. OB arrived in the thick of the war, just before the Tet Offensive. He could have taken a deferment or an assignment to Germany. But when you're raised in places like Waynesboro or Dublin, Georgia, and there's a war on, you tend not to follow the advice of people like Bruce Springsteen. Your country calls, you serve. So OB went, whether he agreed with the merits of the war or not. The defoliate Agent Orange eventually killed my Uncle OB. After one of his bouts with cancer, he was urged to join in a class action suit against the federal government who approved use of that product without fully testing it for side effects. OB refused, saying that he was able to return when so many of his friends did not. I vividly remember him saying, if it weren't for that stuff, some sniper would have picked me off. You see, to OB, Agent Orange gave him another 40 years of life, which enabled him to raise a fine family and serve the good people of Lawrence County. What a wonderful way of looking at the gift of life. Before there were helicopters, OB's unit was simply known as the 1st Cav Division, 1st Cavalry Division. As you would expect from any of the military's 1st Marine, 1st Infantry, 1st Armor, the 1st Cav has a long and proud history. One of the most flamboyant officers to have served in the 1st Cav was a gentleman whose career started quite well in the American Civil War, but ended rather badly in the Battle of Little Bighorn. George Custer had an affinity for an Irish regimental tune called Gary Owen. It was typically sung loudly after much alcohol was consumed by these Irishmen. Lots of words about general mayhem, breaking street lights, beating up the bailiff, running from the sheriff, stuff like that. It's a real catchy tune, though, and Custer's band played it as his troops rode off to immortality for their final battle. It was eventually adopted by the 1st Cav as their fight song, and Gary Owen became the greeting members of that division would give to one another. On this Memorial Day, in recognition and with thanks to all who have served this country in war, and to my Uncle OB, which, in case you didn't know it, is short for Otto Bernice Jr., a name so nice the Johnson family actually used it twice. To all those brave men and women, I say, Gary Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Cal, Mr. James. We will now have the unveiling of the signage by Mr. Buddy Adams. We would like for James and Cal, please join him downstage. Ms. Susan. of some of the signage to some of his loved ones. Please be seated.
Hi, I'm Chuck Harwell with the Community Bank of Dublin-Lawrence County. We're proud to offer the latest technology in the banking industry. From our teller pods to online services that allow you to manage money and pay your bills all at your fingertips. Our every design has you in mind, right down to our expanded drive-through for the convenience of larger vehicles. Our banking services surpass any other in town. You'll notice the difference when you walk in our front door. Remember, Community Bank of Dublin-Lawrence County, the bank that's service-built, where common sense banking never goes out of style.
This is kind of personal with me, because I knew Obie not only as a friend, but as a doctor and a cohort. He meant so much to this community and everybody involved that had anything to do with Dr. O.B. Johnson. He looked after his patients. I'm a fine example of that. But I'd like to thank Matt Hatchett for introducing the legislature when I went to him about naming the 441 bypass at the Claxton-Deer intersection for Dr. Major O.B. Johnson. He served as a medical doctor in the service, and he was a medical doctor here. The county commissioners approved this to be named after him. The big signs will be up probably the first of the week at the intersection. But like I say, he was a dear friend of mine. I appreciate everybody coming out today. This is a great crowd to honor one of our local citizens and our military hero. And thank y'all, and I hope everybody enjoys. And if y'all would notice down front, that belongs to Johnny Payne and myself, honoring the 7th Cavalry that he served in. Thank y'all.
Buddy came by the office on several times, and he said, "Johnny, would you sort of come and stand with me?" He said, because it's a very emotional time, because Dr. Johnson is the reason not only others have survived, but this is the longest serving in the state of Georgia, resident of the state of Georgia, that has a liver transplant. And Dr. O.B. Johnson. Was responsible for that with Emory University and those others. So, buddy, I know these people are glad that you're here, and I know the family is honored that you honored him with us. So, thank you. And like you said, those are my boots, first in the 7th Cav, and I too say, carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Buddy, Mr. Payne. From the Pine Forest Baptist Church, we will now have music by Miss Mary Carson.
Deep within the heart has always known that there is freedom somehow breathed into the very soul of life. The prisoner, the powerless, the slave has always known it. There's just something that keeps reaching for the sky. And even a life begins because a baby fights for freedom. And songs that we love to sing have freedom's theme. Some have walked through fire and flood to find a place of freedom, and some faced hell itself for freedom's dream. Let freedom ring down through the ages, where minds know what it means to be in chains. Let freedom ring wherever hearts know pain. Let freedom echo down through the lonely streets, where prisons they have no key. Let freedom ring, because we can be free. Let freedom ring. God built freedom into every fiber of creation, and He meant for us to all be free and whole. But when my Lord bought my freedom through the price of His redemption, His cross stamped pardoned on my very soul. And now I'll sing it out with every breath. I'll let the whole world hear it, this hallelujah anthem of the free. Let freedom ring down through the ages, yes, from a hill called Calvary. Let freedom ring wherever hearts know pain. Let freedom echo down through the lonely streets, where prisons have no key. We can be free and we can sing. Let freedom ring. We can be free and we can sing. Let freedom ring. Let freedom, let it ring.
our benediction, we remember today Dr. Otto B. Johnson, and we remember all those who have come before us and given the greatest gift to our democratic nation, their lives. Their duty, their honor, and their lives are precious gifts that must be given to the future of our country and our families. The duty of our veterans, past and present, is the fiber of the word freedom and is stronger by our recognition of their service and their sacrifice. We honor that service and sacrifice today and should carry it forward for our children to honor. Freedom and democracy are the result of all of the most honorable this country has produced. Today we stand to remember the most honorable among us, and we must continue to carry the burden of their sacrifice, lest we lose sight of what true freedom is. Today is for remembering. So stand in honor of them. Walk in their path of duty. Remember the cost and hold in your heart the cause of that freedom. We remember today, Memorial Day, our veterans. Thank you.
Dublin's newest and most modern hotel is the Hampton Inn and Suites. Relax and enjoy your stay while near the best in dining, golf courses, and business centers. Start your day with a free hot breakfast. Enjoy our pool, indoor fitness center, and Wi-Fi. Plan your next family reunion, meeting, training session, or social gathering at Hampton Inn and Suites, 103 Travel Center, located by Longhorn and Cracker Barrel. Hampton Inn and Suites by Hilton.
You're out here at the VA now. Tell me about this wonderful VA hospital we got in Dublin.
Look, this is a fabulous institution. They've been great to me. It's I'm 92 years old, and I did find it was 89, and then I got so I couldn't stand up and couldn't walk, and came out here and they said it's senile neuropathy. The nerves in your lower back and spine quit working, and I came out here, and they have been fantastic. The director before it, our new director, does a beautiful job. Now and then you'll hear somebody complain about it. It's hard to look after 2,000 people.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. And solve all their problems at the same time.
That's right.
But I can't say enough good stuff about it. I'm so glad that it's in Dublin.
Cal, you was Dr. Johnson's nephew.
That's right.
Okay, and tell me, we heard your speech a little while ago, but let's talk more on a personal level. Tell me some things you didn't talk about up there for time, but share with us some about Dr. Johnson.
Well, he was a wonderful uncle. He was a role model. He was a guy, when I went to my mother's family reunions, they'd say, you know, you look just like your Uncle O.B. I'd go to my dad's reunions, they'd say, you look just like your father, you know. So it was always a great honor for me to have that comparison, because O.B. was he was the model that you looked up to, that you wanted to someday aspire to be like, and it was a pretty high bar. But he did a phenomenal job raising his family here and serving the folks of Dublin, Lawrence County, and he never carried a chip on his shoulder. Wow. Any of the issues that he may have had with some of the unkind welcome that they had coming back from Vietnam, he just never carried that with him, and was always just the model citizen, and we just miss him greatly.
It's hard to find those virtues in people now, in the world we live in, just totally frank about it. But it seems like he was a bigger than life man.
Yeah. Yep.
because of the way he lived. And the story I love most of all was about the Agent Orange, when people tried to get him to join in that
Yep.
class action suit.
Yeah.
What a true patriot.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you not get emotional
I know.
when you think about a man that, because everybody's sue happy now. Everybody wants
Right.
to sue.
That's right.
But he loved his country
Right.
and the faith that he had to make that kind of statement.
That's right. That's right. It was really phenomenal. And he turned it around. He said, look, you know, I got an extra 40 years of life.
Yeah.
And he really believed that defoliate, as damaging as it was to the internal organs, it kept him, you know, it kept the mass unit safe.
Yeah.
There were some terrible side effects, and there was a case to be made in that suit. But in his mind, it gave him an extra 40 years of life.
And gave him a family.
Gave him a family
Yeah.
and a community here.
Oh,
Yep.
my gosh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have with me Dr. Johnson's son, Daniel Johnson. I know this is a great day for you.
It's a wonderful day. We are so grateful to just be a part of this community. I've been away from this city longer than I lived here, and it is still my hometown. And my dad felt the same way.
Yeah.
He felt treated well. He was treated like a better person than he thought he was. And people in Dublin always made him feel special.
Yeah.
If he could be here, he would be humbled. He would be uncomfortable, but he would love every bit of it.
What a great doctor. I remember sitting in my grandparents loved Dr. Johnson, and he took care of them. And I remember sitting in that waiting room waiting on to go in. I'd go back with him and watch him do whatever he was going to do, but he was always so cordial. And I just, as a young child, I had fond memories of that, because you don't find that a lot now, the world we live in.
He felt very strongly about his patients.
Yeah.
I think one thing his service in Vietnam gave him was quite a sense of gratitude for life and the people who cared about him. And he loved his patients.
Yeah.
They made him feel good. He loved serving them.
And what do you think your family, watching your children down here, your family, how do you think they feel being a part of this today?
Oh, I think they're proud.
Yeah.
You know, they love that they can say their grandfather or their cousin or their uncle was honored in a way. And, you know, it's anytime this happens, people are just simply kind enough to remember the best parts of somebody. And we're all very, very grateful for that.
When y'all get together, family reunion, family get-togethers, what are some of the things, stories, when y'all talk about your dad? Share some of that with me.
Well, he had a mission until the very last day. He and I were supposed to go to our farm shortly before he died, and at 7 in the morning, the next morning, he called me and he said, "Well, son, I'm at the farm because I couldn't sleep. The chemo drugs made me a little crazy, so I came on out here." Well, I looked outside, it was still dark. And I said, "Well, okay, I'm on my way." He said, "Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about." He said, I went for a walk, and I got a little disoriented. I got disoriented, I fell down, and now I can't get back to the truck. I need you to come find me. I said, well, where are you? He said, "Well, let me get you to the truck, and we'll try to go from there." And I said, well, okay, I'm coming as fast as I can. And he said, well, now don't worry. If I die before you get here, I don't want you to feel bad, because I'd rather die here than in a hospital.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
So he just didn't want to miss another day outside.
Isn't that great? Well, this community loved your dad.
Thank you.
And as I listened to you and your cousin, I guess, talk today, it just, I could see my grandparents there, you know, the fond memories of that. And for them to be able, and me to be able to share that with an amazing man like that, not knowing at the time all that he had done, but sitting here today watching y'all, it brought back some amazing memories, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, I can tell you, he felt the same way about his patients. He felt the same way about his coworkers. He loved those people who were such good friends to him.
And we loved him.
Thank you.